Hi everyone, how are you all getting on? I'm glad to be able to finally talk to you during what have been very trying times indeed. This is the first in a new series of clan chats, a bit of a different look to it. Well, for a start, you can see me, so I can only apologise for that. But in the coming weeks, Jerry McLaughlin will join us in future editions, and we're even organising some familiar faces to come and talk to us as well, something to look forward to. But for this one, seeing as it's our first, we decided to keep it simple. So it's just me and my one guest who joins us this week, and he's waiting to talk to us now. So let's say hello to the clan chief operating officer himself, Gareth Chalmers. There he's there. Hi, Gareth. How are you doing?
Hi, Craig. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Glad to have you on board. We thought it would be an ideal opportunity for you to update everyone with what's been going on around the club and some questions from fans as well, which I know you've been looking forward to as well. Sure. But let's start on a personal level, away from the club and the business side of things. How have you found the last 9 or 10 weeks and, pretty much living at home like the rest of us, really?
Yeah, I think I'm like everybody else. It's been quite a worrying, but also quite a surreal time. Working from home's certainly been interesting. It's certainly thrown a couple of difficult situations up while running the club. But yeah, it's also food for thought. I think a little bit. It makes you realise a lot of things can be done digitally now, and like little things like this clan chat that we're doing here. I do think digital is the future now. But yeah, overall, main thing is healthy and all good.
And I see you've been doing your own hair as well.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately.
So how have you whiled away the time in terms of leisure? What have you been up to when you've not been dealing with club business, of course? I mean, a lot of us have been doing the garden, catching up with box sets. Some of us with kids as well. Obviously, that takes its own responsibilities. What about yourself?
Yeah, just pretty much the same. Just going for walks, just keeping busy around the flats. On the FaceTiming with me folks, FaceTiming with my son Spencer. So yeah, it's been nuts, but there's plenty to keep occupied. You leave little jobs for a time being, and then it's a good opportunity to get them done because you've got some spare time.
So let's talk about the club now. And as I say, it's been 9 or 10 weeks since effectively the league shut down. On Friday the 13th of March, we remember the date. From your point of view, tell us about that date and obviously the meetings you had in deciding that the league would be shut down there and then.
Yeah, well, there'd been I was across in Germany early in March, and I'd been on 2 flights, so I'd started to realise how bad the situation was starting to be. Just been in Germany. Germany were far advanced than the UK was at that time. Just being on a flight and just looking at how empty airports were and the flight was, and it made you realise that it was starting to become quite real. We'd had various different discussions at league level about it, and I think we'd had a call on the Wednesday the 11th, from what I can recall, and we were starting to look at ways around, maybe playing games behind closed doors or finding different scenarios that we could work with. We'd postponed. Then we'd left another call for another 48 hours, and we went on the call on the Friday morning. There was a lot of very frank conversations going on from the arena teams, obviously from the rink teams, and it just became very apparent very quickly that it just wasn't feasible for us to go forward. So we decided to stop the season with immediate effect, which I do still think was the right decision. I called Fitzy. Had a chat with Fitzy. The guys were nice at Ock and Harvey. I think it was around about 11:15 when I called them. So they were just entering the second hour of training, and I just called them. Had to get them off the ice and just said, just get the guys off the ice. It's finished. And it's one of the most surreal situations I've ever been in, having to tell the team we're getting ready for the playoffs, hopefully, and it was an interesting situation, having to tell our head coach the season was over and there was nothing more to play for. But as I say, it was definitely the right decision.
So a few weeks later, Zach Fitzgerald left the club, and I know it was a tough decision for you. What can you tell us about the head coach situation right now? And if I can bring in a question we had from Aaron Hewlett, what qualities are you looking for in a replacement?
At the moment, we've I think I said a couple of weeks ago, we've had around about 40 applications. It's probably higher now. Generally, what happens is when a coaching role becomes available, it gets around the hockey world that a club's got a position available. So we've had a lot of emails, I've had a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls of agents and potential head coaches. We would had an idea of what we already wanted, so we had a shortlist put together. So it's really just been working through that, just trying to work out who works best for us, and who has the right, who's the right caliber, who's got the right criteria for what we're looking for. At the moment, we've got a couple of guys that we're looking at. Things probably could, well, I would like them to be moving a lot quicker, but obviously the issue that we've got at the moment is we're dealing with a lot of different variables from, when the season starts, when flights are going to be available, how we're going to obtain work permits. There's so much worry there at the moment. It's all up in the air. It doesn't mean that shouldn't be a concern, because it certainly isn't. We've got a lot of things going on behind the scenes, with various different situations that could arise. So everything's well planned. We're very fully prepared for any outcome. But at the moment, it's we've got 3 guys that we're looking at, and we're just working through getting references on each one of them, just having a chat with them, just trying to find out who would be best for the job. In terms of attributes, it's I think it's very important now to have somebody with some level of elite league experience if possible. We're in quite a unique situation here in the UK, where you've got a recruiter head coach who's probably seen the league, knows how the recruitment game works, because a lot of head coaches in Europe and North America don't recruit their teams. It's generally the general manager, or it's the sports director, as they call it in Europe, and then he would recruit the team for the head coach. So we've got to find something like that. But also, it's like this. The issue that we have is that the salary situation is we don't have the budgets that a lot of European teams do. So we kind of go and sign an ex-NHL, ex-American Hockey League, ex-East Coast Hockey League head coach, because we just kind of compete salary-wise. A lot of these guys end up in Austria and Germany and in Italy, because the salaries are a lot higher there, and that's just the way it works. So generally would probably look, if you look around the league, it's a lot of the head coaches in the league, if it's their first opportunity coaching. Adam Keefe in Belfast, Andrew Lord in Cardiff. It's guys who generally want to break into coaching that end up getting roles here. And like, we struck it very lucky 2 years ago with Pete. Obviously, Pete's a good friend of mine, so we're very lucky to get him. He had that experience, obviously, with Milton Keynes in the Elite League, and also with Swindon and Slough, also in the EPL. So he was the ideal candidate, but it's very difficult finding guys like him that'll come. But I think if we can find somebody with a little bit of experience, has got ambition, because we want to win here, understands how the Elite League works, how the recruitment works, and is motivated to improve the club, that's all that we can ask for. I do quite like the idea of younger head coaches, because they've got that focus to move on up, as Pete has done since he left the Clan. He went to Freiburg, and that's ideally what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody with a bit of ambition. But I think most importantly now, the main thing is we need some continuity. Obviously we've been through 3 head coaches since Ryan left, since Finna left, and it's an important time we try and get some continuity now, whether that's for 2 years or whether it's for 3 years or whether it's for 4. We need to get that now.
Another question from one of the fans, it's James Sansom, and he's asking, I think you've already covered the timeline about an appointment for a coach, but possible player signings as well. Is there anything you can tell us if there's any announcements imminent, or is that something that you're holding off on just now for whatever reason?
Yeah, we've obviously, I said before, we've got quite a lot going on at the moment on the player market scene. We've got the British players are always the initial target. We'll always look at the British players, because the British market moves very quickly. So you'll find that a lot of the British players sign up in April or May. But also, I've been keeping an eye on the import market. In previous seasons, we've generally signed imports before a head coach has been appointed. So as an example, Fitzy, Scott Pitt and Matt Becker were signed before Pete even came here. They were always a target of the clubs. And even last year, before Fitzy got the job, we'd already put a couple of deals in place, because Pete and I had set our targets out. So I think we'd already re-signed Scott Pitt, Matt Pafal, Lyndon Springer by that time, so we'd already had a couple of couple of guys. There was maybe more, but there's a couple of guys in place. I'm in no doubt that'll be the same this year. I've got a couple of idea of guys that'll fit what we're looking for. I've already spoke to all the head coaches about what we're looking at in terms of potential candidates, so they're fully up to date. It's no different to any club. That happens quite a lot. You need to have a bit of a backbone there as well for the head coach to build on. We didn't do that the year John came in, the year John Tripp came in, and looking back, it was a mistake because it left John and I with far too much work to do later on. So yeah, I would imagine soon, over the next couple of weeks, we'll start to see some movement.
I mean, the market in general is quite slow, and I suppose I can ask you this with a kind of agent's hat as well, given that that's another line of work you're in as well. I was looking, the Elite League by the 29th of May last year had confirmed 54 signings across all the 10 teams. This year, we've only seen 11, which is absolutely staggering. So does that suggest there's a lot of caution in the league about committing to bringing players in when you've touched on it already, the uncertainty of next season?
Yeah, there's caution everywhere at the moment. I speak to people on a daily basis. So I was just on the phone to somebody in Italy today. The Alps League's on hold at the moment with signings. Germany as a whole's on hold. Pretty much the whole hockey world's on hold at the moment. People are trying to work out what's going to happen. You're still getting contacted by agents on a daily basis. Like I've just been dealing with agents most of today, and that just speaking to various different people and in various different contacts. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's just trying to work out what's going to happen and when we can start and when you can start recruiting a team. So there's definitely a lot of players around, but there's not a great deal of contract signing going on at the moment. That hopefully will change pretty quickly if we get some more positive news. But yeah, it's very quiet at the moment. It's way behind where it normally is.
And to move on to something, again, looking ahead to next season tickets, of course, is the one thing that crops up quite a lot. We're normally well on with season tickets in terms of applications and those being dealt with right now. So what's the latest with the season ticket information regarding Glasgow Clan for next season?
Well, initially we were going to put season tickets on sale because I thought it was an important time just to get some positivity out there, get people, people want to buy season tickets. It's their investment in the club. And then, I thought about it a lot more, and I thought, it's probably not a good idea with social distancing. We're still trying to work out how social distancing, how it's going to affect the club, how it's going to affect people getting in the building and in the arena. So I looked at it and thought, it's a very long process for the club. It takes a lot of time. I didn't want to start that process and start allocating seating and start confirming renewals or anything without actually understanding how social distancing is going to look. It just wasn't worth going down that route yet. So as things stand, season tickets are on hold. Once we've got a clearer picture of what direction things are going in, we should be able to start moving forward with things. There's just so many variations, and we just don't know what's going to happen. So it was I think it's in the club's best interests and the fans' best interest that we didn't go any further with it.
Well, we had a question from Rob. I may as well ask it just now while we're talking about season tickets. At Red River Blue, he calls himself on Twitter. Although hard to predict what the arena may look like with social distancing, when we finally get back to a stage where we can welcome a full house again, can current season ticket holders be assured they'll still be able to renew the seat they have always had? And I've got a funny feeling I know what your answer is going to be on this.
Yeah. We'll kind of get, it's a situation where we're trying to work out as well. We couldn't give any assurances right now. It's obviously every year we want season ticket holders to have their seats back that they've always had. But in this climate, in this current situation, we just couldn't give any assurances. But rest assured, as soon as we know more and as soon as we've got it worked out, we'll let people know.
Now, your last blog, you talked about webcasting, which I'm personally delighted about, and you and I have always spoke about it whenever you've been involved with the club, and it's something a lot of people have bent your ear about as well, not just me. Is it something you're excited to finally do when the chance does come that we can actually trial it? Yeah,
I think it's a very positive step forward. When I joined the club, I always had intentions of implementing webcasts, but understandably the owner, and I do totally respect and understand it now after I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
That like any hockey business our size relies so heavily on tickets. It's to give an idea, it's like our ticketing income is around 75 to 80% of our turnover. So it's our core, it is our core income stream. So we've got to protect it. I think I've said this numerous times at Braehead, we've got an absolutely fantastic building with, the Purple Army create a fantastic electric atmosphere, and it's always been our focus to get people into the building because that's what the experience is. People coming to the games, watching a good game, hopefully, absorbing the atmosphere, buying a 50-50 ticket, buying a shot off the back ticket, buying merchandise. That's what it's all about. It's the experience. And obviously you just don't get that with a webcast. But now, obviously, as I mentioned at the start, with the way everything's going digital, it's, we don't know what's going to happen with the whole coronavirus situation, social distancing. So it's definitely the right time to bring webcasting in. I think we've found with Clan Classics as well that it's been a major success. It's opened a lot of different new income opportunities which we'd never really thought of before. So we're going through some very depressing times at the moment, but out of all, there's some really positive things coming out of the situation, and we've just got to, I think now digitally, we've got to really adapt to it, because I think it's survival of the fittest. You're going to have to adapt to survive in the future. It's interesting times.
I was going to ask you about the Clan Classics. That was next on my list, and I was going to ask you how well they've done. You've covered that already, but the games you've picked have been absolutely fantastic. The feedback from them as well. And speaking personally, I know a lot of the things, my commentary, certainly a lot of it wasn't meant to be heard because it was done internally, which has been interesting. Thankfully, I don't think any swearies have been picked up, which is always a good thing. But is that something you're going to keep on running over the summer? I know you've got as we speak, the GCA awards are coming up this weekend. Is that something you're going to try and keep running over the summer while we can?
Definitely. I think we've got a plan in place until the end of July at the moment. So we've got a game scheduled in for every Saturday night until the end of July. I also think it's as I touched on it before. I think it's also something for the future. I've been saying for years that we need to adapt the club from an 8 to a 9 month business into a 12-month business. And having these Clan Classics, I think for the future, it's maybe something that we could be doing next summer or the summer after, and just maybe not as often as every week, but maybe every fortnight or every month, we could be doing a rerun of a game, whether it's from that season or whether it's from a previous season, and just put it out on YouTube or on Facebook, whatever platform, and it allows us to interact with the fan base, which we haven't normally done that well during the summer, but also it helps us sell 50-50 tickets, shut off the back tickets, any raffle, merchandise sales. It's a really good opportunity. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to become a regular thing.
Good. I've certainly enjoyed watching the match for sure, even if the commentary is a bit ropey. Let's move on to the Paisley Pirates link, which was announced earlier this week. Fantastic news for both clubs in terms of what they'll both benefit from it in the long term. How did that come about, first of all? I mean, it's one of those things that maybe seem logical and maybe a bit surprising that it hasn't happened before now. But how did it finally come about this time?
I've been speaking to Jackie, Ian Senior and Ian Junior Turley for quite a few years now. They've been the main guys that have run the club there, and obviously Adam Walker joined the club a couple of years ago now. I know Adam. I've known Adam since he's up here, and also when he was in Manchester as well. So I've got a really good relationship with Adam. Adam's kind of been the glue that we've needed. He's come to me. I speak to him quite a bit. We just sat down and started brainstorming some ideas, and we both agreed that there should be a stronger relationship there. Obviously, our neighbours in Braehead, so it's important that we have a relationship there. So we just started looking at it, and I think one of the things that I've been concerned about since I've came here is the lack of Scottish players coming through, not just into the Clan team, but also in into the wider elite league market. We need British players. It's important that we have British players and predominantly Scottish players. So we started having a look at things. It's not an ideal situation, far from it. I think I've said before that the clan would love a junior development programme. It's not as straightforward as that. But I think obviously our relationship with Solway, which were set up a couple of years ago, and now this relationship with Paisley is a step nearer to that. Obviously, the longer term ambition would be to have a junior development set up for the club itself. But obviously, just with the current arena situation and the lack of ice time, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
So where does that leave the partnership with Solway? That's always been a very successful partnership. You've had players play for both clubs. I assume it's still going to continue. I don't see that being affected in any way. Maybe you can clear that up for us.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be affected in any way. We're going to have a good relationship with both clubs. Obviously, the benefit of Solway in the National League 1, which is predominantly the English Northern teams, and Solway. And then obviously we've got Paisley in the SNL. I appreciate Solway in the SNL as well, but it's kind of a pyramid system. So we've got an SNL team with Paisley, and then we've got like a National League team with Solway, and then an Elite League team with Glasgow. And I think in an ideal world it would be nice to have a National League Premier team. That next level, it would be nice to have a team there. Maybe, if somebody wants to put one in Scotland one day. And it's more just about, it's just giving players young British players the focus to have a progression there, coming from juniors, just gives them a bit of focus to move on up. And it's such a big gap between SNL and National League hockey to Elite League. We've got to try and bridge that a little bit. And that's where, these two-way contracts come into play, and it's helped us. Look at Liam Stenton last year, had a fantastic year with us, and it's just about giving those young guys an opportunity to progress on up.
Right, well, there's a question here from Tony DeMarco. We're moving into the questions from the fans now. His first question was, what do you hope to achieve from the links with Solway and Paisley? I think you've covered that already. But do you think local players can be developed through these links and go on to play for the clan?
Yes, is the answer. It's just it's as I said before, it's difficult. It's just finding the way of getting them through, because the Elite League is such a high level now. The Elite League is probably one of the best standards of hockey we've ever had here. Even going back to the Super League days, I now believe that the Elite League is on par with the latter years of the Super League. So the standard's very good. You just need to look at the level of imports that come in now, and the game's so fast now. It's so competitive. The quality's so high, so it's difficult to get the British players to step up. But we do have to find a way, and that's why integrating them into training and into game time is important. The British players that were currently around the League, they're not getting any younger, and we need to start bringing guys through. British players are becoming on the whole, it becoming a highly sought after commodity. We're not a club that we can go and compete against Sheffield, Guildford, Nottingham, Cardiff, and even Belfast. It's something we've got to adapt to and find ways around, and I think this is a step in that direction.
I find it curious that we've got the likes of Edinburgh, for example, coming through with Murrayfield Racers in the SNL. They've produced players for a number of years now. Fife have done it as well through their various junior teams. So maybe it is about time that we start seeing it over in this part of the world. Yeah,
I agree. And the issue that Scotland's had is Scotland's always produced very good players, always has. But what generally happens is they all head south. You just have to look over time. A lot of Scottish players have headed down south because that's where the money's been. Ultimately, especially in southern England, it's I mentioned before, we've got a bit of a disparity where a lot of the second league teams with money are down south, down in the south of England. So guys have tended to go there, and we need to stop that from happening somehow. It's not an easy one, but we need to find a way of getting guys a little bit more invested here, and it's been the ongoing issue for the last 15 or 20 years now, and just need to keep on working hard at it and trying and getting guys a little bit more involved up here, and hopefully get them involved in Elite League hockey.
Right, next question from Clan OSC. We all know them. I don't know who sent the tweet in particular, but big hello to everyone at the OSC. They've got a question for you, Gareth. How important do you think supporters clubs are in sports like ice hockey? Very important.
Speaking for us, for ourselves, I think, we keep on saying this time after time, we've got the best supporters club in the country. They are absolutely fantastic for us. Like it's ever since we set up the OSC, what was it, 3, 4, 5 years ago? I can't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
They've literally become a fantastic support. The level of money that they invest in the club every year is, outstanding. It's really, it helps us kind of punch well above our weight. It helps us get players in that we would normally get in. Little things for I think last year they bought the dressing room an ice machine. They bought the dressing room a massage gun, and that's things I just don't have a budget for, just the way things work out. So they do help us with little extras. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but if anybody's thinking about getting an OSC membership, get one, because it does help the club.
Yep.
Just going back to the original question, supporters clubs are huge. I think if you just look around the league now, there's a lot of hockey clubs now copied our OSC and how it's set up. And I think I think the Glasgow Rocks basketball team are currently just set up on OSC, which looks like it's going to mirror our OSC. So I think our OSC is kind of leading the way, and I think people are taking note of what it's doing and copying it, which is testament to them. It's fantastic.
Definitely a great bunch of people there as well. Okay, next question is from Ian at Flames83. What plans are there, if any, to improve the game night experience for fans? It might be a question that's maybe a little bit soon, obviously, because we don't know when we're going to be back in the arena and enjoying the experience of a game night again. But is that something you've given some thought to?
Yeah, well, the game night's huge, because at the end of the day, we're an entertainment product. If we're looking at in that aspect, obviously people can't watch the hockey, but also you've got to put an entertaining night on. So it's something that's always in our mind. The problem that we have with Braehead now, especially, is without some major investment, there's very little else we can do. I've harped on about this for years. I think I've tried to twist the owner's arm numerous times, but we'd love a centralised scoreboard in the building with obviously screens on. I think that's our next stage. But let's be honest, these things are not, they're not cheap. You're talking anywhere between £250,000 and £500,000. If you look at that fantastic new one in Nottingham, would absolutely love a screen like that. But it's just not as straightforward as doing that. Anything that's going to improve us on a match night now is going to cost us money. And obviously, in the current climate, that's not going to happen. To be frank, it's not going to. So we've just got to try little things that work. I think we've got a very, very good match night for the amount of money that we spend. And it's we're trying to tweak it every little year. We're trying to find money every year to tweak it and make it better. So there's no concrete plans yet, but we are constantly discussing and trying to look at ways of doing things. The match night's so important in the entertainment package around it, because it creates the atmosphere. People get the buzz. Crowd grow was fantastic for us when we had crowd grow, created a buzz and people loved it. And when you get a buzz, the atmosphere is good and the players feed off it. And but unfortunately, it's all down to money. And it's, year after year, you've got to keep on trying to find more money to make these things better. But yeah, it's definitely something that we want to do, and it's obviously up to us to make sure it happens.
Right, last question. Time's getting on, and this has come from Kerry Berry. In this period of great uncertainty, I personally find it useful to focus on long-term goals to overcome the short-term struggles. What's your long-term vision for the clan? There you go, a bit of a cracker to end on.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think realistically now, it's time we won a trophy. It's for a club this size, we should have at least been to a final. So I think it's now time that we win a trophy. We should be, it's the issue that we've had as a club is that the league's really pushed on over the last 4 or 5 years. From the season that we finished second, budgets like they've gone through the roof since we finished second at 2015, 16, no, 2014, 15 it was, yeah.
15, yeah.
And yeah, and I think ever since then it's like we set the stall high that year. I think we shook the league a little bit with that whole situation. Like everybody turned their heads and who were these guys that are starting to come on the scene, and obviously things changed dramatically that summer. Obviously the new ownership came into Cardiff, and it really pushed things on at the top of the league. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to keep pace with that for various different reasons. But I think it's important that we keep on driving forward, which we are. And it's I think the long-term ambition in terms is to get that first trophy, but also we need to we've still got 500 extra seats to sell in the building most nights, and it would be nice to get the building full every single game, and that would make a huge amount of difference to what direction we can go in. If we're getting 3,500 people a game, we could probably compete a lot more at the top end of the table. The issue at the moment is the club's set up to spend money on what we're earning. It's very much set up like that, and our revenues have gone up season after season over the last couple of years, and it's just we need to keep on doing that, and hopefully one day we'll get there. But I think as long as we keep it progress, that's all we can ask for. The journey that the club's been on over the last 10 years has been fantastic. You were around the first year, you'll have seen all the growth. It's been fantastic, and we've got a really good organisation now. Very proud of our fan base. Obviously, it's grown a lot since those days. And as long as we keep on progressing, that's all that matters. It's when we start going backwards that we've got an issue.
Gareth, well, that's your interrogation over from me and from the fans. Thank you so much for your time. Hope it wasn't as painful as maybe you were expecting. In the meantime, thank you to everybody for watching. Thanks for all your questions as well. We'll reveal who we'll have on next time in due course, so keep your eye on Glasgow Clan social media channels, like the Facebook page, as we always say. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Clan IHC. Thanks again to Gareth for his time, and to you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.